Good morning everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the future updates of NGS because they did an official interview with 4Gamer, which actually shed some light on some suspicions that I've been having for quite some time now. But before we jump into all of that, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily. So if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So the first thing I want to talk about is this article. Of course, it is an interview with Hiro Arai himself. This article was posted on October 25th. I will leave the link in the description below so you can read it for yourself. So the very beginning of the article is just some regular PR stuff talking about the 10th anniversary as well as the first offline event that they had in quite some time because of the whole pandemic situation, as well as of course the food. I don't know if you guys watched the official channel, but they did post a bunch of pictures of some food that they had because they did do a collaboration with a cafe which basically designed a lot of different special dishes. Next up, they talk about the orchestra. This is the concert thing that is coming up. Now, you will need to purchase a ticket if you do want to watch it online. However, the main thing that I want to talk about is, of course, the response from the development team. So over here, they give us a little bit of insight about what they've been working on, how they think the game is so far, blah, 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 blah. So in the first paragraph over here, they basically just roughly go over all the new things they added, the Kavaris region with the floating boards, throw action, and the field races and stuff like that. However, something that really surprised me was they said this sentence right here. However, it is also true that combat sectors is the only permanent, stable, playable content. So we still feel that content is lacking. Moving forward, we will continue doing our best to develop a variety of content. This was very, very true. As you guys know, I am a big fan of combat zones. I can farm combat zones for hours on end and I won't get bored of it because the combat in this game feels fantastic. And I think a lot of you guys are the same way. You enjoy the combat, you enjoy grinding, and it's fine for maybe a couple hours, like 2 to 3 hours. I think most people are going to be like, okay, this is all right. But after that, you need a change of scenery, you need a change of pace. You want to do something else, whether that be lobby grinding, whether that be screenshotting, whether that be field races, or purple triggers or dark falls. But the thing about all those other activities compared to combat zones is those activities are the hot new thing to do. And once people have tried it once or twice, you usually don't go back and do it ever again unless there are significantly valuable rewards in that specific activity. And so a great example is, of course, Ordinal Tower, which is the new thing that just came out this week. So everyone's running the Ordinal Tower, everyone thinks it's great, but give it like 2 weeks and it's going to end up exactly like how the Geometric Labyrinth is, where everyone's just like, nah, I don't want to run that anymore. There's no real need to run it. And eventually nobody runs it to the point that the items that actually drop from the Geometric Labyrinth or the Ordinal Tower or whatever activity suddenly skyrocket in price and people are like, oh, now it's worth running because, you can farm these materials and you can sell it on the market for a lot of money. But even then, some people are just like, oh man, I really don't want to run this activity anymore. In my case, it's the Cannonball Strike or the Cannonball Rumble. It's a fun activity to do once in a while. But if you're telling me that, yo, you should be farming this over and over to get all these special capsules and all of these things because that's how you make money, that's not my jam. I don't like running that activity versus combat zones, which I can just run indefinitely. And I feel like the main reason on why I like running combat zones over any of the other activities is because combat zones is very just hop in and play. There is no complications of I need to find friends, I need to find a party, I need to find blah, blah, blah. It's very, oh, I want to do it, I'll just hop in. It doesn't matter if there's randoms. It's relatively simple content, and it doesn't matter whether you're playing with randoms or you're playing with a pre-made or whatever. Sure, if you're truly min-max and you really care about maximizing every single second and getting the most loot per hour, yes, you can min-max PSE farming, but the majority of people aren't really going to care that much. You're just going to jump into a PSE zone, you're not really going to care who's in your party or who's in the room, and you're just going to go off and kill mobs. Now, something I'd like to see Sega improve about the combat zones is, of course, the efficient strategy. I feel like Sega should make it the most efficient strategy to just go to the E's and T's and just eliminate all these complications. Because Sega, you guys know the player base is going to find the most efficient method to farm, regardless of what you do. So you might as well make your designed method the most efficient way to farm that specific content. So if people are just going from E's to T, that's a very simple design. Everyone can understand it, everyone can get behind it. And that's why I feel like combat sectors is considered a stable, playable content. However, I would like to iron out the kinks in the sense that, hey, you know, right now the quote-unquote optimal strategy is to spread out, fill up 4 bars, then go to the T in order to proc the PSE burst. Because at the end of the day, you know, everyone just wants to proc the PSE burst, stand in one location, kill a bunch of mobs, because essentially that is the most efficient method to farm. So I'd love to see Sega tweak the combat zones a little bit more so that, you know, just following the symbols is going to be the most efficient way. So it just streamlines everything. It makes it a lot more easier for the casual players and the hardcore players to coexist in the same room. Even though I know the majority of hardcore players, you probably put your own password to rooms anyway, but nevertheless, it just eliminates any drama or unnecessary conflict. Now, the next thing they point out is something that I am very happy that they actually talked about, and that is providing rewards to match the amount of play. The dev team states over here, we have received comments that the rewards do not match the amount of time spent playing. However, since each player has their own needs, such as meseta, weapons, enhancement materials, we will adjust the type and amount of rewards while keeping a close eye on the balance. So this is really cool because this is acknowledgement that Sega is listening to the community to some extent. They understand that, hey, you know, these drop rates for the rugged weapons at the very beginning were abysmal. They're just horrible. Even with the new adjustments, like, you know, when they started dropping in any of the regular combat zones, as long as the mobs were level 60, like, even when they did that implementation, rugged weapons were still relatively rare. I felt like that should have been the drop rate at the very beginning. When rugged weapons were first introduced, the drop rate should have been just as high as once we got the new high-level combat sectors. Because, I mean, even now, you know, these rugged weapons are still going for a substantial amount of money. Like, if you look at the rugged katana, it's still going for like 8 million. That's still quite a significant amount of money. You know, of course, before it was worth a lot more because of the rarity and the drop rate was still pretty low. But things have kind of balanced out, things have calmed down a little bit. Now, another comment they also have addressed is, we also hear players requesting exclusive rewards from urgent quests, etc. However, we want to carefully approach this issue as we are aware of the risks of gameplay becoming too focused on urgent quests like with PSO2. Also, even if we choose to go that route, we would like only to do so with special urgent quests, not for urgent quests associated with the new regions, etc. So I understand where players are coming from, thinking that, yo, listen, an urgent quest is like a special event, you know, we gotta wait for it, it pops up once every couple hours, it should be worth my time to run it. It should be this exciting thing that I should always want to run because of these crazy rewards, or maybe even exclusive rewards, which I can only get from urgent quests. Well, the thing is, base PSO2 used to be like this. There used to be certain materials in order to upgrade or limit break your weapon, which you could only get from urgent quests. And what happened in the end was everyone was just lobby grinding and just waiting for the urgent quest. Nobody went to combat zones, nobody did anything. We literally just AFK'd and we were like playing other games. And then the moment that an urgent quest came up, like there would be a Discord notification and the entire alliance would log in. We would run that urgent quest at one time and then everyone would peace out again. And so it wasn't exactly the best game design per se, because it was just like, oh yeah, you know, we're only gonna log in just for the urgent quest, and that's literally it. And so with NGS, they have a clean slate, so they're trying to avoid this. And it's really interesting that they said here, also, even if we choose to go that route, we would only do so in special urgent quests. So this is what I'm thinking. These special urgent quests sound very similar to like what we have right now with the seasonal urgent quests, or like the limited time drills. I feel like maybe for seasonal urgent quests and stuff like that, we might get some exclusive items that will help us in the season. Maybe they give us even more seasonal points, they give us some special scratch tickets, they give us something that makes it worth farming. Because with the seasonal event, the entire premise of why they put seasonal events is to encourage people to come and play the game. You know, you've got super crazy rewards, you've got an event shop, you've got seasonal points, and it's super efficient for a player to play during a seasonal event, whether they need to catch up, whether they need to build up materials, whether they want to upgrade for an alt, stuff like that. Seasonal events has always been very, very efficient and very, very worth it, to run and to farm and to do all the different activities that it has to offer. Now, the third point they talk about is, while we've received positive feedback for field races as a gameplay element that makes use of the fields, we are also receiving requests for more rewards and are currently addressing this by making it an ARX records objective. However, we are also considering adjusting the rewards obtained directly from the races. I definitely think field races need to be more worth it, in my personal opinion. Sure, you can get stat 4s, which are pretty nice, but I don't know. I feel like it's not really my cup of tea to begin with. I never really thought the field races were super fun. It's a super unique thing to do for sure, but I've only done it like once or twice, and literally I only do it because of the ARX records objectives. So you could say that I am very reward driven. Let's say if you do like 10 field races a week or something, you get like mastery 4 or something, then hell yeah, I'm gonna be running this every single week. But yeah, I'm just not the biggest fan of field races, but they added into the game and I ain't complaining because it's a different source of content. It's a different thing to do while in the game. So that's cool, but I do agree that rewards need to be up to snuff so that people actually want to do them. Now, the next point the devs address is, we have also received requests about wanting to enjoy battle-related content in the vast open field rather than in a closed space. In the future, we plan to prepare activities that will take advantage of the vast fields and terrain. This is really good, but they continue on with that. Say, the Kavaris region has battles against ancient enemies in the Gorge area, and we have plans of combat taking place in fields in the Stia region, which is coming in December. Please note that the Stia region will not feature areas where there is a gameplay mechanic that dishes out continuous damage if you do not prepare for it, such as the Gorge. This is amazing. So, you know, the Gorge area was a really cool place in Kavaris. However, the thing is, you know, taking the continuous damage, having to build the harsh environment resistance was kind of a pain in the butt for very little reward, because you'd have to jump through all of these hoops to customize your armor or to farm a bunch of consumables just to gain access to the Gorge area so that you don't like instantly die. But now that we have confirmation that the Stia region won't have that burning area, so we're not going to get de-hot or whatever, so that's really nice to see. That's really nice to hear. So if you guys want to go ahead and upgrade your Ephetus armors or augment it because you were afraid of that, well, now you can go ahead if you want. Personally, I'm still sitting on my butt. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna see the 8-star rarity armors because I don't really care about the armors that much right now, since I can very comfortably do all the content available. However, what excites me is, of course, ancient enemies. I'd like to see the ancient enemies a farmable piece of content in the open fields, especially since they're kind of hinting it that the Stia region is going to have some sort of combat sector, but 32-man, and we're probably going to kill some sort of boss. That's really cool. I really like that idea. However, again, there's going to be two decisive factors on whether people are going to be farming this or not. First of all is, of course, the loot. Is it going to be worth the player's time to farm these ancient enemies in the Stia region? If it doesn't drop anything good, then people aren't going to do it because it's not going to be worth their time. And second of all is, of course, the system that is implemented for farming these ancient enemies. So I really hope that it encourages people to stay in the room and do a specific activity like farm extra mobs or something to make the ancient enemy or the boss spawn faster, for example. Because I do not like the idea of everyone just room hopping. I don't like being forced to constantly change rooms just to find a boss, kill the boss, and immediately change to another room. I would be much more comfortable if it was just 32 players together, you kill the boss, and then you do another activity in order to respawn the boss. Maybe you gotta kill 3 mini bosses or something, and then the big boss spawns, and then you go and kill the big boss. So you kind of have a gameplay loop in that room. It's very similar to like combat sectors. How do combat sectors work? You go to the E's and the T's, you kill them, you fill up the bar, and then you eventually proc a PSE burst. I'm hoping for the same design philosophy for the exploration zones in Stia, where it's just like, yeah, you know, the big boss, the big ancient boss is the PSE burst, and then basically there's going to be a bunch of E's or a bunch of trials or something where you go around, kill all these mini bosses, kill all these mobs, complete these different tasks, and then boom, the big boss spawns again, everyone groups up, beats the crap out of that guy. I think that would be really cool, and it would have some sort of gameplay loop where everyone can just chill together in a room, socialize a little bit, and just have a good time. The next thing they talk about is the seasonal events. You know, players have said that seasonal events lack variety, and so we have tried to gradually change the content of them. We are working on future limited time quests to offer new ways to play. This is good, very short and sweet answer, and I definitely think that they need to improve the seasonal events. They've come a long way. Compared to the very first, or even like the first 3 or 4 seasonal events, there's a huge improvement. So, you know, I've been there since day one, so I've seen the incremental improvements, and it's definitely a step in the right direction. So I have full confidence that Sega is eventually going to get things right. They are just really, really slow because they tend to overthink things, is what I personally think is happening. But whatever, it's the end result that matters, and I'm happy to see that the seasonal events are getting better each iteration. If you guys didn't know, the very first like 3 or 4 seasonal events, we were capped on seasonal points per week. So you'd have to farm every single week to get a specific amount of points in order to buy out the shop. And even if you did that for the entire duration of the event, you still were limited to like what you could buy because you couldn't farm even more seasonal points. You were like capped. And so, yeah, we complained a lot about that, and they finally made it uncapped, which is really nice. But yeah, you know, I have faith that they will make the seasonal events worth it. I personally think the seasonal events are already worth it compared to like when there's no seasonal event, obviously. But you know, they could always make things even better. And last but not least, they do talk a little bit about the Stia region coming out in December. You know, they give a little bit of sneak peeks and stuff like that. I'm going to leave this part for you guys to read. Again, the link is in the description below.
Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again.
But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about in today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe. And I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.
What can I say except you're welcome for the heals, the boosts, the